Well, good day, viewers. Today we have a 2017, I believe, F150. I believe it has a 5-liter. The customer complains that the starter doesn't engage sometimes, so I just started it 3 or 4 times and it actually did it to me once. Let's see if it'll do it. That time it started. So you heard that? So this thing needs a starter. Oh joy. So we're back working on this 2017 F150 with a 5-liter. We're going to change the starter this morning. There's the reman starter assembly. So start by disconnecting the negative battery cable. Make sure it's off to the side and doesn't go back or fall back onto the post. And we're going to raise it up on the hoist and have a look at accessibility to this starter. So there's the starter. It doesn't look too bad. I've certainly seen worse. Disconnect the positive battery cable here and the control wire, the ground cable, and there are 3 bolts. The bottom one is a stud for the ground cable, and the one that's a challenge to reach is the one up top here. This one right in here. Let's see. That one we can see, actually, with maybe it's this one here. Let's have a look here. Yeah, this one's easy to get to. This one's easy to get to, but there's one up inside there that's, you're going to have to get just the right combination of extensions and socket to get at it. Let's get going. So the positive cable is a 13mm nut, the ground cable is a 13mm nut, and the control wire is a 10mm nut. Disconnect those 3 wires and move them off to the side. We're going to clean up those eyelets before we put them back on. So the next thing to do is I think we're going to try to get at that one hidden bolt up on top first. So I managed to get that upper bolt out. It's up here. So you need about 5 inches of extension. So I used a good quality snap-on 13mm short socket, 1 inch, or 1 1/4 inch extension and a 4-inch extension. And it was just right, and then once I broke it loose I managed to get it out with this 1/4 inch drive, which is a little bit longer, but by hand. Now we'll take out the other 2 bolts. Well, that wasn't so bad. I noticed that there's a plastic ear on here on the new solenoid that isn't on the original, so we'll have to make sure that doesn't interfere with the battery cable. And we're going to inspect the flywheel teeth. The drive looks okay. Remember, this was not engaging at times. It would just spin and then engage into the flywheel teeth. So we're going to have a look at the flywheel teeth up in here and make sure there's no damaged teeth. Turn the engine by hand. We'll take some, well, maybe not. We'll turn the engine by hand and put a paint mark on that flywheel right where it is, so I can tell when I've gone around one turn and inspect the flywheel teeth. So I'm doing this by myself, so it's pretty hard to turn the engine and watch the flywheel at the same time. So got a borescope in there so I can see the flywheel teeth as they go by, and I'm turning the crankshaft with a 18mm socket on the front of the crank, looking for potentially damaged teeth because the starter drive was not engaging at times. Be nice to see it now before we put a new starter in it. That's about half a turn. Watching for my white paint dot to come by. There's a mark on that tooth, but that's not bad. That's an unusual way for a starter to fail. I can't honestly say I've seen one fail that way, where it doesn't engage, just spins free. Must be getting close. There's my white mark. Okay, so we're confident the teeth are not damaged. We'll go ahead and clean up the mounting surfaces and the bolts and the eyelets and put the starter in. So those are all the battery cables cleaned with a Roll-Lock sanding disc. I also cleaned the surface where the starter bolts to the bell housing. Cleaned up the 3 bolts. And we're going to reinstall it. Put a little Loctite or a little never seize on the threads of the bolts to make them easier to thread in. So there it is, reinstalled. It's pretty hard to get a torque wrench up there. Bolts are 8 mil, so they're probably about 24 foot-pounds. And the bolt on the end here is probably about 10. I just used 1/4 inch ratchet. And everything's clean, tight. I'm going to throw a little bit of paint on the connections and on that battery motor terminal as well, just to try to seal it, keep Mother Nature out. So there's the battery post cleaned and sealed with sealant, and we're ready to fire it up, see if it actually works. So here we go, moment of truth. Sounds good. Turn the radio down. Gotta reset the radio station. All the warning lights are off.